Okay, everybody, today's lesson is on writing linear equations. So what we've been doing is spending a whole lot of time on graphing linear equations. And one thing that we learned that is if we get our equation into this form, our slope-intercept form, then we would be able to graph our line. Because what we knew was that the b here was our y-intercept. So if I knew that number, then I could see where the point was going, where the line was going to cross our y-axis. But I also knew then that m was our slope. So whatever the slope was, if I had the y-intercept, then I could use rise over run to get another point, and then we'd go ahead and graph our line. Okay. So if we know the slope and the y-intercept, what we can do is we can write an equation for a line. So really we're just going backwards. Before we had this equation and we were able to graph the line. Today we're going to say, well, what if I have the line or possibly a couple points? Can I go backwards and actually write the equation? So that's the two things that we're going to be looking for today, trying to find the slope and the y-intercept. And then we're going to write our answer in this form, y equals mx plus b. Okay? So it says, example 1, write an equation of the line with slope of 3 and y-intercept of -7. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write down our formula here. Y equals mx plus b. We're trying to write an equation. We want our answer to look in this form. Okay, so if you know how to write it from here, you can go ahead and pause the video and give it a try. Okay, either way, if you're back, then what I'm looking for here is, well, I'm trying to find our m here, which is our slope, and I'm trying to find b, our y-intercept. Well, in this problem, they actually tell me those two things. They say write an equation of a line with slope of 3. So they're telling me my m is going to be 3 and a y-intercept of -7. Well, my y-intercept is my b, so that's -7. And then all I have to do now is fill in my x and my y. So what you end up getting here is this equation, which is y equals 3x. And instead of writing plus -7, I'm just going to write -7 there. Alright, so there's the equation of our line where I knew that the slope, or my m, was 3. The y-intercept, or my b, is -7. And that's all it is to it, guys, is trying to write this equation. Alright, example 2. So I want you to pause the video and think about this one. Again, we're going to try to write our answer in the form y equals mx plus b, where what you need to know is figure out what is the m and what is the b. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video and give it some thought. Okay, after thinking about it, couple of things to come up with here is, well, when I write y equals mx plus b, I know it's going to be y equals something times x and then plus b. Let's start here just by finding, I'm going to go with the b here first. So my b is the y-intercept. Well, that's the point where our line crosses the y-axis. Well, we have that. That's right here. That is our b. That is our y-intercept, because that's where the line crosses the y-axis. And that point is, well, 0 left and right, and then we went up 3. That's the point 0, 3. All right, so where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses right at 3. So I'm going to go ahead and fill the 3 in for my b, because that's the y-axis. Now, to get our m, remember, m is just slope, and that's going to be rise over run. So one way that we did that is just by counting. All right, if I start, I'm going to start at that y-intercept, the 0, 3. I'm going to say, well, how far up or down do I have to go? Well, I have to go down 1. So that's my rise is 1, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4. So you end up getting a rise of actually -1 because we went down over a run of +4. So my slope is -1/4 because that was my rise over my run from one point to the next. Remembering all your positive and negative. So there's our final equation. Y equals -1/4 x plus 3. And that's really all there is to it. Okay, example 3 here starts diving into the same stuff we've been doing about. We're going to be writing equations, but now they're going to get into our rules of parallel lines and perpendicular lines. So I'll do part A here, and then I'll turn you guys loose on part B. So example 3 says A, write an equation of a line that is parallel to the line y equals 4x minus 8. So this is what I'm going to say is our first line. Okay, that's the first one that we're starting with. Y equals 4x minus 8. And what it's asking us to do is we're going to write our equation, which is y equals mx plus b. All right, and they're saying that our line, so write an equation of the line that is parallel to this first line. We want a line that is parallel to that. Well, one thing I can take away from that right away is if our new line is going to be parallel, it's going to have the same slope. So if this slope is 4 over 1, I know my m in this case is also going to be 4 over 1. So I can already write y equals 4x because the slopes have to be the same. Okay, the only thing I need to know then now is what the y-intercept is. Okay, so the equation of a line that is parallel to y equals 4x minus 8 and passes through the point 0, 2. Well, think about that. Passes through the point 0, 2. Well, if I were to do a graph here, think about what the point 0, 2 is. That means 0 left and right and down 2. We would have that point right there on the y-axis. Well, that's our y-intercept. So anytime you get that point that says 0, 2, we know our new line is going to go through that point. Well, they're simply telling us what that y-intercept is because that's where our line will cross the y-axis. So their line was y equals 4x minus 8. Our new line that's parallel to it is going to be y equals 4x plus 2. Okay? Pretty much the same thing for part B, except when it comes to slope, they're not saying our line is going to be parallel anymore. Now they're going to be telling us that it's perpendicular. So think about what that means. See if you can come up with that line. So pause the video. Okay, so hopefully you wrote your line here. The line they tell us to start with is y equals negative 5x minus 9. I know our new line is going to be y equals mx plus b. And the first thing I look at is I know our line has to be perpendicular to this first line. Well, the slope in this one is negative 5 over 1. So that means when we fill in our slope, since it's going to be perpendicular to that thing, perpendicular means that I have to flip this upside down, so reciprocate it becomes 1 over 5, and we got to change the sign. So because they had the negative 5 over 1, ours becomes a positive 1 over 5. So I'm going to write that in for our m, y equals 1/5 x. Now all I have to do is come up with my y-intercept. Well, again, they give us a point right here. Our line is going to pass through the point 0, negative 4. Anytime you see that 0, comma, negative 4, that's the y-intercept. Because if you were to graph that, that would be a point right on the y-axis. So our b is going to be negative 4. And that's all it is for the parallel and perpendicular. Okay, last problem of the day here. So write an equation for the function and I give you this chart. So what I'm going to do is let you pause the video for a couple seconds, give it some thought. Remembering our goal is to get this form, y equals mx plus b. We need to somehow from the table be able to come up with what is the slope, what is the y-intercept. So those are the two things you're looking for. So pause the video, give it a try. Okay, after giving it some thoughts, maybe you have some ideas. I'm gonna tear into it here. So the first thing that stands out to me is this right here. This point, which is 0, 6. Well, think about it just like the last problems. If we have a point that is 0, 6, if we were to graph that, that would be 0 left and right, and it would go up 6. We would be right at spot number 6. Again, if I were to graph this, I would be at 6 on the y-axis. I'd go 0 left and right, and I'd go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's where the point would be, way up there. So I know right away that my y-intercept is going to be that 6. Okay? The only thing left to do now is I have to find out what the m is. Okay? Well, one way to do it is we could use this table to graph the line, and then we could do rise over run to get it. The other way to do it is remember our slope formula. Okay? Slope is m, and we did y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, how does that help us? Well, the table is just a list of points. Like we already listed one, it was 0, comma 6. Well, I can choose any of these other ones and make it a point as well, 2, comma 10. Then using that, I can make the 0, 6 my x1, y1, and the 2 and the 10 can be my x2, y2. And now I can go ahead and try to solve this. My y2 is 10 minus my y1, which is 6. That's going to be over x2, which is 2, minus x1, which is 0. Well, on top, 10 minus 6 is 4. 2 minus 0 is 2. 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. So my slope ends up being 2. And that was just using my slope formula. All right, so again, our goal today is to be writing these linear equations in the form y equals mx plus b. We need to find the slope and the y-intercept, and we're home free. All right, that's our lesson for today.